Let's go ahead and go back to superintendents, and I'm wondering, you guys are all in areas, but let's start off with our southernmost guy, and Dan in Florida. What kind of weeds are you having right now? And I'd be interested, maybe we'll let, if Tina and Ken want to chime in on any expertise after that, we'll let them. But Dan, what's the weed pressure like right now in Florida?
Weed pressure in Florida is high all the time. We've had real hot and dry weather, so the grass has really been growing like crazy, and that means the weeds have really been growing like crazy as well. We're battling goosegrass right now. Spurge is going crazy. Sedge is going crazy. And we even have a little resurgence of signal grass right now. So that's kind of the big four that I'm working on right now. And it's a constant battle. We're spot spraying, boom spraying every single day. So.
Yeah, Florida is always a good place for weeds and weed infestations. It's a good thing with FMC, we've got a pretty unique portfolio in that, whether you're battling spurge, of course, you being in Florida with warm season turf, we have products like Blindside that are very effective on spurge. And then we have a nice program approach that we can tackle with the weeds such as tropical signal grass, where we can look at different timings, whether they be early summer or fall, depending upon what fits your needs. With that combination of dismiss south and exonerate, seems to be a nice fit for those areas. And of course, we mentioned dismiss NXT there for the sedges. So, goosegrass is always going to be an issue. With Florida, depending on how far south you are in Florida, it almost acts like a perennial. Because it seems to always be there. But yeah. Tina, you have anything to add?
That was perfect, Ken. I know we've got a lot of research with tropical signal grass and exonerate and dismiss south. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to reach out, and I can help you with that.
Awesome, thank you. Let's go on up north. Let's go Midwestern. Alex, what kind of, you guys got a PGA Tour event staring you down? What kind of disease pressure you guys have?
We're starting to get into that prime time of dollar spot season, Seth, and for us not having the stresses that golfers put on the golf course this time of year, it's been good to produce a healthy plant, but also not getting complacent and getting our early season applications down, because we've always found that staying ahead of that inoculum has been our best bet to having those surfaces come July, and this has certainly been a unique last couple of weeks, but trying to stay ahead while kind of hurrying up and waiting for golf to catch up with us has certainly been fun. But other than that, we deal with a lot here, kind of in the armpit of the Mississippi River with Pythium root rot and Pythium blight and brown patch, and again, for us, it's being proactive. We can't wait for things to kind of sneak up and weather to get bad or the wrong irrigation program to run. We've got to stay ahead of it and get up on our applications, and that's what's been most successful for us. And with all of the reductions we've made, we have not let go of agronomics. We're just needing to make smart product choices that provide us the healthiest plant that's being complemented by the fungicide.
As I'm sure you guys are aware, we have a new fungicide. It's called Rayora. It's a new DMI fungicide, newer chemistry. And, with dollar spot, we're recommending, depending on where you are in the country, it'll dictate when you make your applications, but we're recommending the high rate for dollar spot. But one of the interesting things about about Rayora is that you had mentioned brown patch, and Rayora being a DMI, you wouldn't think it would have activity on on brown patch. But we did find at NC State that we did have activity, and we got actually really good, excellent control on brown patch, considering typically you don't see brown patch activity with a DMI fungicide. So as this was done at NC State again, and what we saw was when the brown patch when the dollar spot was kind of going out and the brown patch was coming in, we noticed that it was controlling both of those very well, and that was in the summer months. And again, with Rayora, we're not seeing any PGR effects with these applications in the summer. So we're able to maintain that quality and provide excellent disease control with those products, or with Rayora.
Started the season out like really pretty warm for March. We had a really mild March, and then just Mother Nature decided to help us out here with the whole virus shutdown, and it got really cold. I mean, I think we've had frost or hints of frost pretty much every day for the last 2 weeks, which has been really wild. And so we haven't really had the temperatures yet to worry too much about disease. Like Alex, I like getting some products out early season to kind of inoculate the soil, like kind of get down to populations before it hits. Dollar spot's been a huge problem here traditionally over the last 6 or 7 years. So having that, pre-inoculant out at the beginning of the season has been a big help. This year, normally I'd probably have sprayed it by now, but with the cool temperatures, I'm just probably aiming for next week. It looks like it's finally getting a break in the weather, and we'll start getting it out. The other side is the weeds. Again, we've just seen the usual, clover starting to pop dandelions, that sort of thing. Nothing too wild yet. Just, again, with the cooler weather, I think it's kind of set everything back. We kind of got a flush of growth, and then the cold weather just shut everything back down. But we actually did get an early, with that warm spell, we actually did get an early application of the share herbicide, which was a first for us, and I was really excited. So it did knock back some of the populations too. So the plan is here to go back out and just spot spray in the next week or two, get some areas we may have missed. Insecticide, I know the forsythia bloomed pretty early. A lot of guys use that as the indicator for ABW controlling that. I have 100% bentgrass here, but we actually do get attacked with it a few years ago. And we have on and off gotten ABW to the point that it's not taking my pull out worse. But again, I usually wait a little later on that. Again, with the bentgrass, it can withstand, that first round of attack, and then we get it. So right now we haven't really sprayed anything. But I think next week it's going to ramp up pretty quickly, and as the temperatures kind of get back to normal.
Well, I think it's interesting. Both Alex and Alan mentioned the importance of inoculum management early. I think that's going to be really important, especially this season. For your under reduced labor situations, maybe it's if it's smart, you go say with your big guns first, to manage that inoculum and really knock it down. So we like to say FAME first, of course, because it's a great product to set things up as the year goes on, as those soil temperatures begin to warm up, 55 to 60 degrees. Really manage that inoculum and as your other diseases come on, of course with Rayora you can manage the inoculum with dollar spot. It has with root and foliar activity, and it has a pretty good soil half-life there. So I think the more effective you can be early to manage that inoculum, as Alex was talking about, the better it sets you up as your year progresses. So I thought that was a good point.
Okay, great. Unless Tina has anything, I'm going to kick that one over to Andy. You have the floor if you're ready.
Yeah, one of the biggest things we kind of deal with in the early spring is, especially with the way that it's been cold, wet, and just very cloudy, is actually leaf spot. The leaf spot throughout the fairways, green's got a little bit of it. So it's just due to the weather. We did a little bit of a preventative application before, but usually it just broke through it. And then here pretty soon we're going to start probably in the next week or so, when we're keeping an eye on our soil temperatures. Probably going to be getting into our summer patch and Pythium crown root rot preventative sprays. They're coming up. The other thing too, we've been dealing with, actually with the warmer weather to start in March, and then it's gotten cold, is actually, I was shocked to see as many broadleaves popping up through our native areas a little bit. So we actually went out with a herbicide earlier this week and kind of whacked them back. And driving around today, you can see we really got them good with the herbicide, and also with these frosty mornings we've had the last couple of days, it's really kind of knocked them back.
Are you primarily seeing the broadleafs in the rough or fairways, or where are you seeing those mostly?
Mostly just in the natives, actually. We got a Super 600 weed event, so we really cut those down when we had some good weather in the wintertime, and really kind of opened up some soil and took out some organic matter. And boy, I could see a lot of the broadleaves are coming through in that area.
And do you typically, we know you're in your native areas, do you typically, do you mow first and then treat, or do you treat and then mow? How do you manage your height of your native areas in relation to how you treat the weeds?
So typically we mow them down in the fall, and then usually we mow them down in the spring. And we just purchased this piece of equipment over the wintertime, so we actually mowed it with it down to 2 inches this spring, and then waited a few weeks and just sprayed them with the herbicide this past week.